I have had a recent revelation. As I was listening to a Richard Stallman speech, I realized that the GNU operating system should not be called GNU/Linux, nor GNU+Linux. I think you should rather call it just GNU operating system, as Linux is just a kernel. The Linux part of it really doesn't matter. It is the GNU project and the idea of free software which matters. In this speech of Richard Stallman's, he specifically was talking about the idea of freedom being something that you have to constantly fight for. Even though the GNU operating system is a functional operating system right now, someday in the future it might not be. So you have to fight for freedom, and you cannot fight for freedom if you don't know what freedom is. So therefore you should constantly promote the idea of free software. And this is done, usually, by including the GNU in the name GNU/Linux. But what I would like to say is that maybe drop the Linux part of it entirely. Forget about Linux. The people who call GNU/Linux just Linux, well, they forget about GNU. So how about we start forgetting about Linux? I think that's only appropriate. Considering there are so many people who call it just Linux, I think it's only fair to start calling it just GNU. Because, after all, it is the continuation of the GNU project, started in the 1980s, well before Linux was ever a thing. The GNU operating system was a thing first, and Linux just happened to come in to the scene at a later date. It is the GNU operating system that matters. The GNU project is what's important. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I was thinking that I should probably start calling the system just GNU from now on. I may occasionally refer to it as GNU/Linux, but I will start calling it just GNU. I never speak of it as just Linux, because that's not what it is. Many say that the kernel is the most important thing or whatever nonsense like that, but I don't think so, because it is the GNU project that created the free software operating system. It is the GNU project that started it all. Linux doesn't remove the GNU project out of existence. The existence of Linux, the kernel, does not delete or erase GNU. GNU was already there, and GNU is still here, despite the fact that people don't usually talk about it. But I will be sure to talk about GNU, and only GNU from now on. Occasionally I might refer to the system as GNU/Linux, or GNU+Linux, but never just Linux, and often just GNU. I think that's appropriate, considering it is the GNU project that I support. Let's forget about Linux. It's indifferent. I couldn't care less if it was the Linux kernel, the BSD kernel, the herd kernel. I couldn't care less what kernel was there. But the project, the GNU project, has the idea of free software, the software freedom. It is the GNU project that I care about. Therefore I'm gonna start calling it GNU. Right, so that's it.